Henry Smith, you were elected as a Conservative MP in 2010. You're not standing at the next election. Why not?
Well, I was 54 just the other day, and I have come to the conclusion that if I'm going to do something else and go on to new opportunities and challenges, now is the time. I've been an MP at the next election for 14 years. I've been in various public roles continuously for 27 years. I was a leader of West Sussex County Council previously. So I've decided now is a good time for a different direction.
Must be a little bit nerve-wracking because you've been there for quite a long time, but some people stay for far longer in Parliament. Do you think some people outstay their welcome? Do you think they stay too long?
Well, I won't name any names, but I think inertia is the easiest thing. And I think it's important sometimes to make steps that might be slightly into the unknown. But I think that's certainly right for most people. And the idea that sort of a career for life now in one area alone, I think is something that is for the history books. So, yeah, I think it's important to know when it's time to go on to other challenges.
You have done a huge amount of campaigning on animal welfare. Why is that an important issue to you?
My mum was passionate about animal welfare. I grew up with a household of animals, a parrot, dachshunds, fish, mice, gerbils, you name it. And she would always write to our local MP, pestering them on animal welfare issues. And so it's really in my DNA. I became vegetarian when I was 18 years old because of animal welfare. I think there are now good environmental reasons to have a meat-free diet, as health reasons as well. But it's something that's always been a passion of mine. And, you know, I've been delighted to have been able to play a part in my time in Parliament in terms of forwarding a number of animal welfare measures.
Do you eat fish?
I don't eat fish. No, I'm completely
Pure
awkward.
veggie since the age of?
About 18, I think, when I was a student, yeah.
And, I mean, it's quite common now. It's very common to be a vegetarian now. But it was less so when you were 18, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you often go to restaurants or pubs and there wouldn't be any sort of vegetarian option. And I spent some time in the United States and it was even more difficult there back then. But now it's great. There's lots of variety and choice. So it's good that I think the world's moving towards a more ethical diet anyway.
There'd be lots of farmers who won't like what you're saying.
My brother's a farmer.
Oh, go on. Does he eat meat?
He does eat meat, yes, he does. He does. That's fine. I'm not evangelical about being vegetarian. This is something that's a personal choice of mine, and I respect people's freedom. I think the key thing is that we try to cut out cruelty in the food production process, and so I'm a big fan of labelling of food products as to origin. I was pleased to spearhead in Parliament the introduction of CCTV in slaughterhouses to make sure that there is an independent eye to mitigate against cruel practices. So I think it's about making sure that the welfare standards of animals are the best they possibly can be. What's
left to do on that front?
Well, I've just been introducing a bill that's passed the Commons a few weeks ago, a trophy hunting import prohibition bill. It's now in the Lords, where it's been encountering some headwinds, but hopefully it'll get through that session at the moment. So that would ban the importation of body parts essentially as trophies of endangered species like elephant, for example, but also other parts of the world like polar bears as well. So I'm hoping that will get it onto the statute book. Also another piece of animal welfare legislation ending what they call enriched cages, which is near battery farming for chickens as well. That's another campaign that I've been pursuing in Parliament as well. So in my remaining time, I will continue on those efforts. And I want to continue pursuing the causes I'm passionate about, even when I'm outside Parliament. You don't just have to be an MP to do that, of course.
Last year, the government delayed plans to ban foie gras and fur imports. Now, this is what they say. Fur farming has been banned in the UK for over 20 years. The production of foie gras by force feeding is already illegal in the UK. They don't want to move any further. They say the situation is fine. Tell us why you think they're wrong.
Well, I think, you know, if we deem the production of foie gras, which is obviously, as you know, the force feeding of geese and ducks, and if we ban the production of fur in this country, then I think if we think that's unacceptable here, then we should also think that's unacceptable to import those products. Just to sort of allow that practice to go on elsewhere is simply exporting the cruelty. So I think it's the right thing to do to ban imports of foie gras and fur. I think the vast majority of the public agree with that. It's a simple measure that's now possible on Brexit, that we have these freedoms to be able to do that. The banning of live animal exports for slaughter as well is another thing I think we need to pursue. So these are, I think, easy for the government to do. They enhance animal welfare, and frankly, not the main reason for doing something, but it helps popular as well.
Do you reckon they'll do it before the next election?
I hope so, and I'll continue to push for that.
Okay, so 13 years in Parliament. Your party has been in government for all that time. It's a long time to be in government. Your party, from the outside at least, it seems quite factionalised at the moment. Very many different sort of debates and discussion about the future of the Tory party, which you may or may not think is healthy while you're in government. But why so factionalised at the moment?
Well, I think the Conservative Party has always been a very broad church. I think it has represented a large spectrum of views, usually the majority view in the country. I think it's been an extraordinary 13 years. We came into office just off the back of the financial crisis in 2008. We thought the coalition years was interesting. It turns out they were the most stable years, I think, of the last 13. Of course, then we had the EU referendum, the Scottish independence referendum, the sort of Brexit deadlock in Parliament, which you will well remember. And then, of course, Boris's election, the landslide in 2019, then a global pandemic with COVID. I mean, it has just been an extraordinary time. Now we've got war in Europe. I think things have been extremely tough for administrations, not just in this country, but around the world as well. So I think it's a reflection of the tough environment we've been in. Is
it healthy to have so many debates about the future of the Conservative Party out in the open? It may be.
I broadly think, part of a strong democracy is being able to have frank discussions and debates, both between parties and within parties. But I also think, there's an important point of unity for the sake of delivering for the country. I think where it perhaps becomes a distraction is when it's about the politicians and it's not about the people who've elected them to deliver. I think that's where the problem comes in.
We all look at the opinion polls. What's the best piece of advice you can give to the leading figures in your party to win at the next election against all odds?
I think, it's addressing the fundamentals in politics and what matters to people that is absolutely important. It is tough, after 13 years of being in government, and as I say, that tough environment that we've been through. I think it's a challenge, and pressures such as cost of living, because of all sorts of global factors, is something that is going to be difficult to address going forward. But I think if you look to address people's fundamental hopes and wishes, and actually sort of almost old-fashioned politics, then I think that it is possible to deliver. I don't think the next election is in the bag for anybody, and so the interesting time of British politics, I think, continues.
What's your favourite veggie meal, just to end on?
Oh, I love Indian food, so I like spice. So a decent vegetable vindaloo is
vindaloo.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The hotter the better.
The hotter the better. Yeah.
Do your eyes water?
No, I'm a pro. I'm a pro Vindaloo eater.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Henry Smith.
Thank you.